If you've never seen the Defense Acquisition University chart, the chart, just Google it, right? The chart, DAU. You'll see something like this. It's not easy to find anymore. They try to hide it a little bit, right? It's not pretty. But this explains every single step in the joint capability integration and development process, right? Very detailed articulation. Now, this is for major systems acquisition, right? This is only for really, really big things, right? This is for if we want to buy a new aircraft carrier or a new jet, fine. You'll hear all the innovation folks say that this really doesn't apply now, right? We have middle tier acquisition. We have the different acquisition pathways. Please, I invite you to go look up middle tier acquisition. Go look up the acquisition pathways. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, we've been buying things the same way since McNamara was the Secretary of Defense, right? He's basically the person who instituted this. And whether or not you follow this entire process or not, this is the backdrop, right? This is the framework. This is the back of everyone's mind, how this kind of sort of works, right? At the end of the day, you have to write documents and move through the process from A to B, okay? And here's the problem. Is your SBIR, OTA, BAA proposal, your CRADA is nowhere on this chart. It's somewhere over in the left-hand white space, right? This is way before anybody has written a document requiring your thing. And so all of those things, whether you're doing a major systems acquisition or not, you have to go through some variation of this process. Someone has to need your thing. Someone has to document that need. They have to evaluate your thing versus the current thing. They have to evaluate your thing versus other potential things, right? You're not the only person creating new stuff, right? You might not be the best, fastest, cheapest stuff. And so there's a process for this stuff, okay? And it kind of sort of looks like this chart, right? The big chart. And so even though you might not have to do milestone A, B, C, right? You might not have a milestone decision authority. You might not go through the full capability development document, capability production document, analysis of opportunities or analysis of alternatives. You're still going to have to go through some semblance of that process, and that process takes time. And if you'll notice, RDT&E, right? Research, development, test, and evaluation is the longest thread of money in a program's life, right? In terms of how often it's used, right? It takes a while to get through RDT&E and into an actual program. It takes a long time. You go from a white paper all the way through to something getting tested on a range or in an exercise, all the way into it actually getting adopted. And then once it's actually going to get adopted, you transition to procurement and then operations and maintenance money, right? And so getting from RDT&E to procurement is a major, major hurdle, right? There's a lot of other RDT&E efforts. Here's the other thing to think about. Risk reduction. RDT&E, right? Research and development is expected at a certain level to fail. Not everybody who gets their first R&D contract is ever expected to go to production, right? They're doing exploration. They're doing risk reduction. They're buying down technology risk. They're exploring new operational concepts. When you get that first R&D contract, there may never have been an intention of turning your thing into a production capability at all, right? And you may not know that, and they may not tell you that, right? And so you need to have a very clear understanding of where you sit in the space. The other thing is, RDT&E money isn't real money, right? RDT&E money is early investment to see if something pans out before it actually gets bought, right? Think of it as like a experimental tasting menu before you actually order, okay? You're going to spend the majority of your money actually buying dinner. But if you try a couple of tastes from the chef's menu before you buy your actual dinner, you may not have any interest in actually buying any of those things. That's where you are in RDT&E. And you can limp along for a long time on RDT&E money, but it's finite. it's short-lived. It's 1 or 2 years of effort, and then it goes away. The real long-term revenues come from procurement and operations and maintenance. That's where you need to get to. That's that tip, that pinnacle of the mountain, is that program of record where that money lies.